2017. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Rick Mueller.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Alicia Ash.
Present.
Councilmember Bob Blanchard.
Here.
Councilmember Gwen Calhoun.
Present.
Councilmember Rachel Gray.
Present.
Councilmember Craig Mount.
Present.
Councilmember Christine Wolf. Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
I just mentioned that Ms. Wolf has a illness in the family and will not be here tonight. Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Tonight we'll have the invocation led by the intern pastor, Erica Tobin from the Sierra Evangelical Lutheran Church, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Blanchard. Will you please rise?
Let us pray. Dear God, I thank you for bringing us all here today. Thank you for the service and leadership that those gathered here today provide for our community. Thank you for the blessings you have bestowed upon them and for their ability to be involved in this important work. Today, I pray blessings for our mayor, for everyone in various city offices, and in particular for this, our assembled city council. I pray that for all of the members of this council, you graciously grant them wisdom to govern and guide us amid the conflicts and context of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and development, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. And I also pray for the citizens gathered here today, that the words of their mouths and the meditations of their hearts will be raised for the embetterment of our community. And finally, I pray for the agenda set before this council today. Please give them assurance and knowledge of what would best serve and benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Sierra Vista. All of this and so much more, I pray in your holy and blessed name. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Mr. Blanchard and Interim Pastor Erica Tobin. Thank you very much. As you can tell, she does a mean prayer, and we appreciate her every Sunday at the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and you're welcome to join us there as well. Okay, item number 1 is acceptance of the agenda. Mrs. Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the agenda for the regular City Council meeting of November 9th be approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additions, corrections, discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to awards and presentations. We have one award tonight, a Sierra Vistability Award, so I would ask Phyllis Getz and the members of the Disability Commission that are here to come forward, please. Okay, it's green, so that means it's on. Periodically, the Commission on Disabilities initiates a certificate for those folks who've done excellent things in the community. And I'm just going to read this and present it, and I'm going to ask if there's a representative from the Commission that would like to speak. The certificate basically says, Commission on Disability Issues Certificate of Excellence, presented to Phyllis Getz for her lifelong commitment, dedication, and support to the community affected by mental illness. Awarded this the 9th day of November, 2017, signed Frederick W. Mueller, Mayor. Congratulations.
My name is Lori Scheckman, and I'm a member of the Commission on Disability Issues, and I nominated Phyllis for this certificate. And has been the executive director of NAMI Southeast Arizona for over 10 years. I came to see her in 2015 after I experienced a personal loss. I wound up volunteering the week after. I've seen Phyllis go beyond what her job entails over and over. I've seen her take people in crisis to the emergency room. I have seen her drop everything in the middle of a very, very busy day trying to put a fundraiser together in order to help someone whose loved one is in crisis find services. And don't want to lose my thought. She works tirelessly on our fundraisers and puts in many, many hours and keeps track of 100 details. She's given this entire community an understanding of what NAMI does and what NAMI stands for. She wears many hats besides executive director. She is a NAMI teacher. She is an In Our Own Voice presenter. She is a state trainer, and she's a support group facilitator. She also has a list of the sources, resources, and organizations in this county that, in her head, that I really envy. She finds out what her volunteers are good for and good at and encourages them. And I know this personally because I went from in 2015 being a weekly volunteer to now in 2017 a NAMI board member. Phyllis, I want to thank you for the years of hard work, endless hours, and all the support you've given this community. And by the way, you do deserve this award, no matter what you said to me when I first brought it up. Thank you.
Phyllis, do you want to say anything?
Thank you. I'm really grateful for this award. But one thing I've seen from disability is resiliency, and it amazes me every time I see that the people with disability, how they come back, and after they struggled, and they give back to the community, and it just amazes me, and those are my heroes, really. Thank you. Thanks for this award.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. You want to hold up your award?
1, 2, 3.
All right. Once Jeff looked, we were good. We'll now move to the city manager's report. Mr. Patuchik.
Thank you, Mayor Mueller, members of the council. A reminder that tomorrow, November 10th, city offices will be closed in observance of Veterans Day. Of course, the parade and ceremony will then be on the 11th, Saturday, and look forward to seeing a lot of folks out there. Also, the regular meeting of November 23rd is canceled in observance of Thanksgiving Day, and as a result, there will be no regular work session on November 21st. That means our next regular work session will occur on December 12th at 3 p.m. here in the council chambers. Then a couple of projects to update you on. The Vista Transit Operational Efficiency Study, which will be conducted through the MPO, has been advertised and will open on November 17th. And of course, that's a follow-up to our ridership survey and an effort to try and improve the efficiencies of Vista Transit. And then our floodplain modeling project through Public Works. Those proposals were opened on October 20th, and we've received 5 responses. They're currently under review and should be awarded within the next 2 weeks. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Patuchik. Any questions for Mr. Patuchik on his report? Seeing none, we now move to item number 2, the consent agenda. Ms. Ash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the consent agenda consisting of the regular meeting minutes of October 26, 2017, and Resolution 2017-087, an application for extension of premises/patio permit for Christine Elizabeth Wolf on behalf of Hop and Grapes for the holiday parade on December 2nd, 2017, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Ms. Adams, do we have any staff report on this, on these items?
On the consent agenda items? No, sir, we do not.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? No. Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now go on to the next three items, which are public hearing items. Item number 3, Mr. Blanchard.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the resolution to 2017-088, an acquisition of control liquor license for Series 10 for Jody L. Vanovas for Good To Go Stores LLC be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mrs. Adams, may we have the staff report, please?
Mayor Mueller, members of council, this application is a acquisition of control for the Good To Go store, which is located on the corner of Fry and El Camino Real. It's a beer and wine liquor license, and this item represents a change in ownership, and that is all. The applicant was background checked by the police department, which is our normal practice. The notice of this public hearing was posted on the premise, and to date, we have received no comments pro or con regarding this license. If approved tonight, it will be returned to the state of Arizona for final action.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. This is a public hearing item, and I've received no request to speak. Is there anybody out there that would like to speak? Seeing nobody moving. Any comments or questions to council on this issue? Discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to item number 4. Mrs. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2017-089, Building Code Update, and declaring a 30-day public comment period be approved.
Second.
And I've got, it says Mr. McLaughlin, but I don't think we're going to hear from Mr. McLaughlin tonight.
I don't think so, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, I'm Bruce Eller. I'm the building official for the City of Sierra Vista. I'm presenting changes to our local amendments to the adopted building code. These changes are not in the form of additional regulation, but are meant to simplify and streamline those amendments. Our objective with these proposed changes is to minimize or eliminate downstream conflicts with other parts of the code that local amendments can cause, to lessen the number of local amendments which would facilitate professionals and contractors from both within our jurisdiction and without. Also, to lessen the economic impact increased by regulation, and to do all this without sacrifice to life, fire, or property safety. That's all I have.
Okay. I just again, this is a public hearing item, which I've seen no requests to address the council. So I'll open it to the council. Do you have any questions on this item? Discussion?
I'll just make a comment.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, folks probably are already aware of this, but those changes and all will be available if they want to look at it further. And those who may not be involved, like contractors and stuff, but people who may be interested in your office, should they care to look at what that's about?
Yes, those
Okay.
will be available.
And then you have the 30-day period to make comments about it, should you choose to. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
And I just say again, it's for a 30-day public record. So there's no other further comments or questions, yes, sir?
Just a clarification, the changes themselves will be online where they can get to?
Absolutely.
They don't just got to come bug you at your office, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Well, they can if they really want to.
It's up to you, Bruce.
If they can find him in the office.
bugging him.
Okay.
That's what I get paid to do.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to item number 5, Mr. Mount.
Mr. Mayor, I move that Resolution 2017-090 establishing the West Sierra Vista redevelopment area be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and tonight we'll have the presentation from Mr. Patuchik.
Thank you, Mayor Mueller, members of the council. This resolution represents the culmination of about a year and a half of effort to establish a West Sierra Vista redevelopment area. This process started when council directed that $50,000 be placed in the fiscal year 16-17 budget, which is now carried over into the current budget. And we then started going through a process to establish a West End redevelopment area, which included identifying properties that may fit under the criteria to establish one, as well as a public process to engage folks in what they thought about it. As we went through that process, we ran into a number of comments with regards to the designation of slum and blight, which is unfortunately required by state law in order for the city to establish an area like this and give grants to businesses in order to upgrade their properties. After going through that process, on April 11th of this year, the council determined that proceeding with the boundaries as drawn and with people that were included in the district that did not care to be in the district, then redirected staff to look at reestablishing a new area. Community development staff went ahead and did that. Shrunk the boundaries of the area to include only willing property owners to be in the area. So once that was established, I know you had a meeting, I wasn't at it, but your last meeting you had a public hearing, which I don't believe anybody commented at, and you're now at the point where you're able to establish the area. So with that, we recommend approval tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Patuchek. Again, this is our last public hearing item. I've seen no comment sheets coming forward. So I assume nobody else would like to address us on this issue? Okay, council. Comments, questions, discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Question. Should additional businesses want to be included in the redevelopment district who may not be included in it right now, do we have a process established for how they join?
Well, I imagine because new property owners would be in, and I'm talking just based on common sense here, since I don't have the answer and Matt's not here, but I would assume amending the area would have to go through a similar process as what we just went through.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll save my overall comments towards the end, Mayor, but I want to say to community development, thank you very much. Very proud of the effort and the process that we had to go through to kind of get this thing right. And I look forward to seeing the success that comes out of it, and also giving a new tool to economic development so that they can go ahead and continue to work through that crucial problem that we're facing. But thank you to the staff. You guys deserve the credit for this. Thank you.
Anybody else? No further discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. And I'll echo the comment about good work there, Jeff, you and your cohorts in public work or in community development. Under new business, we can now move to item number 6. Mrs. Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2017-091, resolution adopting the City of Sierra Vista City Board and Commission Practice and Procedure Guidelines be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mrs. Adams, may we have the staff report, please?
Mayor Mueller, members of council. Last winter, during the meetings of the council committee that reviewed the city's boards and commissions, the idea came up that it was felt that the commissions might benefit by the development of these practice and procedure guidelines, which are very similar to a lot of the guidelines that are in the council's own guideline book that was developed and we have been reviewing for the last 6 years or so. And so the last few months we put together this information for the benefit of the commissions. It was reviewed by the council at a work session on the 26th of September, and certain comments were made and we did some minor adjustments to the document. During the month of October, we reached out to our commissioners to have them review it, vet it, provide suggestions, and for the most part the reaction was very good. We did get a couple of comments. One of the main changes to current practice that these guidelines is suggesting is that commissions going forward, if approved, the official record of their meetings will be the recorded document, and there will no longer be written minutes. And some of the commission members had some concerns about that, and primarily it's functional more than an issue with just being recorded minutes. And so we're going to follow the implementation, if approved tonight, with some education with the commissioners so that they know how to run their meetings so that it works in conjunction with keeping a recorded record as opposed to a written record. Most of the other sections relate to laws that they already follow, open meeting laws, Robert's Rules of Order, how meetings are handled and everything like that. And it's our hope and council's hope that this document will be a resource for commissioners, for staff who assist the commissions, and for the general public as well to understand what it is that the commissions do. As with the council procedure guidelines, this document will be reviewed at least every other year. And if needed in the interim, changes and updates can be made as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Adams. Questions, discussion? Questions for Ms. Adams first. Yes.
Oh, I don't have a question. I just had one
Okay.
comment.
The comments and discussion, please.
Okay. I just wanted to thank Ms. Adams for offering her time for the training and education aspect and addressing that concern that did come up with some of our commissions.
And Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, I'd also like to thank you for taking that on, pulling together the notes we had from that committee meeting and putting it into the manual format. I also would like to add that another effect of having this manual is to bring some uniformity to how all of the commissions operate, and also to spell out, I think, a little more clearly for all of us the relationship between the city commissions and the city council. So I think the point of redoing this every couple of years is or not redoing it, but reviewing it every couple of years is a very good idea. And thanks again for helping us with that, Ms. Adams.
Thank you,
That's all.
Mrs. Kell.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much. We now move on to item number 7, Mr. Mount.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I move that Resolution 2017-092, the reappointment of Frank Flores and George Pullman to the Airport Commission, said terms to expire December 31st, 2019, be approved. Mr. Mayor, they're both in attendance tonight.
Okay, it's
Hello, gentlemen.
been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Congratulations.
We're together again.
And then we now move on to item number 8, Ms. Ash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2017-093, reappointment of Ethan Johnson to the Sierra Vista Youth Commission, said term to expire December 31st, 2019, be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is Ethan here tonight?
Ethan is present.
Okay. So, any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Congratulations, Ethan. We next move on to item 9, Mrs. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that Resolution 2017-094, reappointment of David P. Thompson, Patricia M. Olson, appointment of Robert W. Karp to the Planning and Zoning Commission, said terms to expire December 31st, 2019, and acceptance of John Barton's resignation with regret be approved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
I see Mr. Thompson here on the front row. I do not see Bob or Patricia here.
All right, well, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much, and congratulations. We'll now move on, call to the public. We have one individual that would like to, or one citizen that would like to address us tonight, Mr. Voisin. And you've been up here before, so you know the deal with the 5-minute rule.
Yes, sir, I do. Yes, sir, I do. You know, David Thompson was almost on the Airport Commission. He's an aviator also, so surrounded by aviators. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, staff. I would like to just take a moment to thank the city and especially the Department of Public Works and others that helped support the Young Eagles event and open house at the airport. It was an absolute gangbuster event. We've gone over 8,300 kids being introduced to flying through volunteers of aircraft and pilots, and it was just terrific. If you saw the paper, I don't have to say any more. It was really nice. Second comment, my wife can't hook up the trailer, so we got a Class C RV because she said, I can't get in it and turn the key. And she can. So we went to Kartchner to try it out, and we got a packet from the camp host that had some wonderful information about Sierra Vista. Judy and that group over there have really done a nice job. This is it here, okay? It really is wonderful. Although I did find one little fly in the ointment that I've shared with her, and basically just to share with you. By my finger is where the airport symbol is, and it just says Sierra Vista Municipal Airport. And yet, if you flip right over,
There we got it. Now you got it.
okay, you can see them both there. You can see the symbol pointing to the airport. There's no other discussion or description of the airport. I offer to her and wish you would consider that whatever this is a picture of here, kind of looks familiar, that building there, but if it was an overhead view of the airport, it would tell a lot more about Sierra Vista to the aviation.
Much prettier too, wouldn't it? Yeah.
No, this was really terrific. I really like the new sign. I know some people don't. We've got a new theme, Extraordinary Skies, Uncommon Ground. We've got the banners. My one area of disappointment, the visitor center pales in comparison to the theme. We're buried at the end of Tacoma and Oskaloosa. I know that's your former home, Victoria, and I don't mean any offense, but it really is like a secondhand consideration of some standards and brochures. And at the same time, you have an unused airport sitting at the entryway into the city. It's got an ADOT sign that says Sierra Vista Airport that could say visitor information. Let me just leave that as an appetizer. I know Mr. Donahoe is doing a lot of studies. I support that. I'm really excited about the potential going forward for the city. But in between, we're missing a lot of people that come down the highway and never find their way to the end of Tacoma. And one last thing. This weekend is the Navajo Airlift, the Christmas Airlift to the Thoreau outreach program up there. It's the 33rd year, started by Dick McCauley and now being carried on by his son. It's really a wonderful event. And so we're going to have over 40 aircraft flying from the Phoenix area and from here going up to the Navajo Nation. So thank you for the time.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
from
Yes,
Mr.
go ahead.
Mr. Voisin, back over here. This voice out of the blue. I was just curious what time you guys are flying out Saturday morning?
Typically, and George, correct me if I'm wrong, please, 7 o'clock briefing, I think, and I think the departures will be leading up to 7:30. Some of the slower airplanes, we give them a head start.
Oh,
Yeah.
7-ish.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Voisin. I just want to echo, I went out to the airport, and there were probably more kids this time out there than I've seen in the past, so it's a great job. And, of course, the Navajo Airlift's been going on for 30 years. It's a great way to help our Native Americans, and I congratulate you guys on doing that. All right, then, that ends call to the public. Comments and requests of council. Tonight we'll start with Mr. Blanchard.
I have nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Blanchard. Mr. Mount.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like a couple minutes here. I think, one, it's to be stated that I'm very pleased and very happy that the Weston Partnership is done, and we get a chance to go ahead and move out on that. But I don't want that to get lost. And as we were going through the work session the other day, I had a sheet of paper where I was kind of ticking off the successes that have kind of popped up all of a sudden, in the last week, and I just wanted to kind of run through those here real quick. And I try not to get too lectury here, but I'll try my best. One of the first things to understand when we're talking about economic development is the idea of economics. And economics are always faced with a series of rules and principles, regardless of philosophy. And that gets into things such as trade-offs, incentives, and that the government can affect business growth, i.e. deregulation or investments, public investments into other types of, such as infrastructure, to other things that the public themselves can't just do. And so just as I go through the list of what we've either physically did at the work session that had been a long time coming, to the votes today, to the 30-day public comment periods, we had the Weston Partnership Program that came through that included the small business grant that incentivizes small business growth. That's what it is. It's for a person who may not have enough money to bring a building up to code to leverage a little bit of extra cash to go in and get a business put into one of those vacant buildings. It has a revitalization component to it that provides a clear trade-off that encourages participation by the owners of those buildings. Again, incentives and trade-offs. And it's got a clear goal. It's to spur private investment, somebody's business, somebody's property, to grow a new business, to bring on new products and services into the community, which is the key to economic development, creating wealth and jobs, to expand the tax base, and ultimately to help us balance our budget so we don't have to go back and raise taxes again. That's the purpose of all this. I don't think that's stated too often. We also moved forward with reducing, and I counted when I did my research, it was roughly 14 pages of clarifications, reductions, simplifications to our ordinances to make it easier for businesses to go in and get set up. We know somebody on council who had to go and pay a considerable amount of money for something that was in the regulations that they don't need, and now that's been simplified. We all know small business owners that have faced similar problems, and I'm just very thankful and encouraged by the work that the city management and the staff has done to get that fixed. It's crucial. So we didn't just do the West End Partnership this week. We moved to deregulate a lot of things or to simplify the regulation to help businesses out. The other things that we did, for a long time, council has been calling for an economic development update, and we had that, and it was great, and it provided a clear pathway to a new economic development plan, another thing that we had paid for years and years ago, and now we have a new opportunity to see that go through. And I was very happy because it was also inclusive of things that we've asked for, which are clear economic development metrics. It had indicators. Our tourism brief was nothing but economic development metrics that we could use to plan out the budget, and that actually solved a strategic plan component that all of us had agreed to and voted on several years ago. We suspended development fees to go ahead and spur and make it easier for new businesses to get built up, to develop the area. We have the OEA and the airport grant. And I just want to say that this was truly, there's one other thing, and I'll be somewhat selfish here. I know a lot of these things were things that I had asked for, but there was one criticism about 4 years ago when we were going through the election process, and the Herald endorsed me, but they caveated it, saying they weren't sure if I would be able to work with council to see some of these things through. And I'm happy to say that at least that got checked off the list too, because this is really a work of council, and I appreciate the work and the patience that council has done to get rid of, to move all of these things forward really in a week. I know it took a lot longer, but the votes were all, it was done this week. Makes me feel good. Lastly, it's Veterans Day. To my brothers and sisters who are out there watching, 1-7 Cav, Gary Owen, 7th First, 6-9 Cav, Sabres lead the way. And be sure to thank your veterans. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mount. Mrs. Calhoun.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of the downfalls of not following a lot of different social media sites is sometimes missing exciting things that are going on in the community. And one thing I totally missed and would have never known about if I hadn't read about it in the paper was the young lady, April Trapp, who pulled together folks to clean up some sites in town that were deplorable. And I really want to say thank you to her for what she did and for all the people who joined her and what she was doing. And also, I know there's lots of things like that that go on in the community that we might not ever even read about in the paper or know about, but people who are doing really good things around our community. And this is as good a time as any. Every day is a good time to say thank you, but I really appreciate all that people in our community are doing to make it a community. When I first came on council, I used to say, I believe that Sierra Vista is a city, a community of neighbors, and things like that really keep me believing that we are a community of neighbors. I also wanted to commend the Air Force Commission on that Young Eagles program. Even the pancakes were good, and watching the kids have such a good time was remarkable, and the smiles on their faces as they came back and all the excited conversation as they came back from their ride was really fun to watch. And one other thing, we went to the Sierra Vista Police Department's graduation of what's that program called? The
Citizens Police Academy.
Citizens Police Academy. And that's something else I wanted to recommend to those of you who have not done it yet. The police department does a beautiful program, and then the fire department also. That one I haven't done yet. But these are all good things for citizens to be involved in, to get more knowledge about what's going on in our community, especially at some of the department levels. So I think that covers it all. Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Mayor.
We next go to Mrs. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to say thank you to Mr. Thompson and Ms. Olson. They both agreed to continue with the P&Z, so thank you for that. And also to Bob Karp. I've known him for quite a few years, and so we're excited to see him on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I also want to say I'm very happy and pleased with the fact that we did get the redevelopment area through tonight, and that we didn't scrap it as we originally thought we were going to do, but we worked together and came up with a compromise. I have seen firsthand, as I've talked about before, that this program does work, and so I'm very excited about the potential of that program. And also thank you to our veterans. Thank you for for your service and for everything that you do for our country.
Thank you, Mrs. Gray. Mayor Pro Tem Ash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to start by thanking Ethan for his continued service on the Youth Commission. It's greatly appreciated. And I'd also like to thank Sharon and Carl, and there was one other commissioner here, Lori, for being with us today in the audience and for taking the time to nominate someone who's really special within our community. And I think this award by the mayor is an excellent way to do it, and I hope you continue shining a spotlight on people like Phyllis. I'd also like to thank the veterans in our community, in the state of Arizona and around the world, both active duty and those who are no longer serving in the service. We had the privilege of attending a luncheon hosted by the University of Arizona South, and something that really stuck out to me, that the interim dean in her comments stated that she's not a military spouse, but as someone who moved around with her spouse who's a civilian, she had found Sierra Vista to be extremely welcoming when she first came here. And I think that's something that is very special about Sierra Vista, is how welcoming we are, especially to veterans. And with that, I will close my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Ash. I do have a couple things tonight. First, I want to apologize for being a minute late and getting the meeting started a minute late. Dr. Robbins, the president of the University of Arizona, was here today. He came down for the ceremony. He also took time, and this is the first time in the last 3 new presidents, where he actually sat down with a number of community leaders the first time he was here for a visit, and that's where I was. He was running behind schedule, and we had a number of things to talk about, and I was very impressed. A couple of key things from our conversation: he's going to be more involved with research and development, especially as it relates to what's going on in Fort Huachuca, as well as the cyber operations program that's going on with UA South. And he looks like he's willing to be a great community partner with both us, the city, Cochise College, and the hospital, and the fort, and other elements. So we should be getting a lot more support and effort from the University of Arizona than we have in the past, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Again, Veterans Day, thank our vets, and congratulations. The parade starts at 9 o'clock on the 11th. You already talked about the fact that we're not working tomorrow, I guess, the city staff, so everybody knows we're on a different schedule. Thanksgiving was mentioned, and I'll just add that Thanksgiving is coming up. People will be traveling. Please take your time traveling. We want you to come back safe and have a great Thanksgiving. Between now and the next meeting, 1 December is the Christmas tree lighting in the park, and that's normally at dark. And on 2 December is the Christmas parade put on by the Chamber of Commerce. So those are coming up already. It's just right around the corner. It'll be here before you know it. Gwen, did you have anything before I close? Okay. I do have one more thing. It's been my honor and privilege to serve the citizens of Sierra Vista for the last 7 years as mayor. I plan in the new year to ask the good citizens of Sierra Vista to reelect me for at least one more 4-year term, and I look forward to that privilege. With nothing else before council, meeting is adjourned.
Joint commissions.